GameJolt is a land of awe and mystery. It has indie games as far as the eye can see, diamonds waiting to be found, prizes waiting to be claimed, tons of fan games for stuff like Sonic, Undertale, Five Nights at Freddy's, and as you've seen from the title, murder drones! Yes, I'm still looking for more ways to satisfy my burgeoning murder drones addiction before episode 6 releases. Why not play some more murder drones fan games? I took a look at one a little while back, and that turned out to be pretty decent. Can I say the same for any of these? Well, let's get the bad news out of the way first. Searching murder drones on GameJolt brings up 7 results for games. 3 of these, Murder Drones Chapter 1 Pilot, Soul Murderers, and Murder Drones in Japan, is that supposed to say Japan? Aren't actual games, and of those, only Soul Murderers has anything of substance. Poking through Soul Murderer's page seems to imply that it was going to be similar to Undertale, if these text box graphics are any indication. It also says the game is complete, but again, there is no actual game. The download link only gives you this image. The other 2 were posted to GameJolt within the past 2 months as of the time I'm making this. Maybe at some point in the future they'll be finished games, or maybe these pages will remain as they are beyond the heat death of the universe. That leaves us with 4 games to try out. They're all free to download, so let's just get to it. We're gonna start off with Murder Drones game by Coolboy Hosley. You play as N, I think, in a platformer that's less than 2 minutes long. For those of you in the back, you can beat this game in less than 2 minutes. It's why I don't have much to say about this one, aside from the fact that the end goal is to grab a donut. Because of course the resident cinnamon roll murder robot needs a donut to chomp on. Oh, and the music's actually really nice. You can download it from the game's page. Next up is Murder Drones but Game Real 11111 by Lucas Airy. It's the one where cardboard cutouts of Uzi and N fight each other. You play as Uzi, you shoot at N a bunch of times, you can deploy plot armor, seriously, and that's it. Again, not much to this one. Next is Murder Drones The Singularity Awakens by Swag Senate.
Hello, this is the part where I kill you.
Oh! Hi there, Sin! You sound an awful lot like GLaDOS today. Even more so than usual. That's because she's voiced by one of those AI voice cloning synthesizer generator whatever things. It makes me wonder, does Ella McClain know her voice is being used to say things like,
"The moderators of our /murder drone suck ass"?
Did she ever consent to stuff like that? I doubt it, but regardless, it opens up a gargantuan can of worms that I don't want to dive further into here. All that aside, this game's all about, quote from the game's GameJolt page, a more chaotic take on Murder Drones Episode 5, Home, where you play as N and J and take Sin down. Yep, N and J have had enough of Sin, and they're packing, big time. Where'd they get those? And are those really effective against someone who can do this?
You didn't have to.
According to this game, the answer is yes. Just keep shooting Sin and all the possessed worker drones she sends after you a bunch of times, and you win. Simple, right? Actually, hold on a minute. Sin's throwing bombs at you and summoning winged blades from the ceilings. She also teleports to other parts of the mansion when you get her health down low enough, and she creates barriers with her absolute solver powers that damage you on contact. These barriers also play the song Triple Laser Phase from Portal 2. Random, but alright. You also only have so much ammo. Killing the possessed worker drones makes them drop ammo and health, and despite the game's readme file telling you to, quote, always shoot at Sin when you see her, it's better to focus on the possessed worker drones whenever they show up. You can swap between N and J by pressing E, and both are present at all times, you playing as one while the other is controlled by an AI. Both have their own health bars and ammo counts. Though if you die as either of them, that's it, game over. Eventually, Sin starts flooding parts of the mansion and summons black holes to try and kill you. Yes, apparently Sin's absolute solver powers include spawning collapsed stars out of nothing. Also, she sent a possessed V after you. That's no fun. It's worth mentioning that despite this being based off of episode 5, there's no Tessa, no Dark X Wolf 17, Sin doesn't transform into an eldritch horror, and perhaps most important, this guy doesn't exist.
Crikey, what a bounding hump to ruffle!
Also, this game's soundtrack is all over the place. Like, literally all across the mansion. Random worker drones and ceiling wings will have boomboxes built into them, blasting music from Undertale when you pass by them. And I've mentioned already how the absolute solver barriers play Portal 2 music. Actually, a good chunk of this game is just Portal references. Some of the things Sin says, most of the soundtrack being from Portal 2. You can even find Wheatley in one room as a little Easter egg. Another Easter egg can be found underneath a certain staircase in the form of Murder Drone's Rule 34. I am not kidding, that is a thing this game has. Make of that as you will. Overall, the Singularity Awakens is just meh. It has its problems, and it's kinda buggy. For instance, when you die and restart from the beginning, Sin's dialogue from before the restart keeps playing over what she says at the start of the game. But hey, I still managed to kill Sin. Crap, I almost forgot to mention, those broken glass graphics that appear every single time you get hit, them. They're so annoying. But let's put all that aside, because it is time for the one I loved the most. The quirkiest of the bunch. May I present to you Murder Drone's Headache by Rabbitbit Games. If you've ever played LocoRoco on PSP, you'll know what Murder Drone's Headache is about. Left and right arrow keys to tilt the environment back and forth to move your character, holding left and right at the same time, then releasing them to jump, and gathering pieces of scrap metal, this game's version of LocoRoco's berries, all the way up to a max of 20. The more scrap you get, the more health you have. Unlike LocoRoco, gathering scrap doesn't make your character grow, nor are they gelatinous. They're literally the severed head of a worker drone that somehow survived their decapitation and is now rolling around one of Copper 9's scrap pits. The main objective is to escape said scrap pit, singing all the way through because that's how LocoRoco works. Getting more scrap means more characters join in and add their voices to the song currently playing. Who knew VN and J could sing so well? Also, they know Bui Bui Ford's music from LocoRoco 2 by heart. Going back to the controls for a moment, it took me a long time to get used to them, jumping in particular. I got there in the end, mainly through figuring out that there were times you needed to be moving in order to make a successful jump. As in, moving at the moment you release the jump keys. Also, the longer you hold down the jump keys, the higher you'll jump. My reward for figuring all that out was passing through rings that reverse gravity, pushing keys into specific places to unlock doors, and this boss. Holy crap, this boss was kinda frustrating. To beat it, you gotta destroy these silver claw things it has, but it's not as simple as it seems at first. You gotta deal with another set of claws that's constantly rotating around the boss's mouth. More often than not, I found myself bouncing everywhere but where I needed to be, all because of those rotating claws. This boss also has multiple phases. Each time you destroy the silver claw things, you gotta collect a green ring that the boss vomits out. About halfway through the fight, the boss starts shooting missiles at you. Obviously they hurt you, but you also take damage from the blast the missiles leave behind after they explode. I died so many times because of that, because I didn't have enough scrap on hand by the time I got to the boss. At least dying doesn't reset your progress to the last checkpoint. Ah, whatever. This thing's dead. Congratulations! You escaped the scrap pit and are now on your way to scare the shit out of Uzi and her friends by rolling around Copper 9 as a physics-defying severed head. Even if it's LocoRoco with a Murder Drone skin, Murder Drone's Headache is still the best game in this bunch. Once I figured out what I was doing, this was super fun. Oh, and in case it wasn't obvious by now, this entire game is in Spanish. There's nothing wrong with that, and you don't need to understand Spanish to understand this game, if that makes any sense. Again, Murder Drone's Headache is just Murder Drone's LocoRoco. Nothing more, nothing less. I'll have this, along with the rest of the games featured in this video, linked in the description if you want to check them out for yourselves. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please consider doing all the typical supporting people on YouTube things. Liking the video, leaving a comment, subscribing to the channel, ringing that bell, all that stuff. If you want to toss a coin or two in my direction, I have a Patreon and a Ko-fi that I'll also link in the description. Take care of yourselves, and goodbye for now.